Thank you. Welcome back to Track A Learning, our last afternoon of KM World. My name is Juanita Richardson, and I'm your moderator in this track this afternoon. This session is KM and Organizational Learning, and our two speakers are Thom Sinclair and Gloria Burke. Thom will go first, and he invites you, if you have questions during the presentation, feel free to put up your hand, and he'll take them. Gloria has said she'd prefer questions be held to the end, so there will be 5 minutes at the end of the session for questions. Please join me in welcoming Thom and Gloria.
Thank you, Juanita. As you heard, my name is Thom Sinclair, and I'm going to talk to you today about my company, Bixal, and how we support USAID, a globally decentralized agency with knowledge management and organizational learning, or as you'll hear me refer to, and you've heard it referred to as KMOL. On Tuesday in this room, I presented with two of my colleagues from USAID from the Bureau of Policy, Learning, and Resource Management on a draft KMOL policy that was put out to the public in draft in the spring. And I'm curious, was anybody in here for that session? So a couple people. Okay, this is going to be different. I can't speak on behalf of the U.S. government. I'm what USAID calls an implementing partner. So I'm going to talk to you about how we work with the agency around KMOL. But that policy, and you can go look at the presentation at some point if you're interested in hearing more about it, it's designed to strengthen the agency's investments in KMOL, investments in infrastructure and norms to fully leverage knowledge to advance the agency's mission. But the policy didn't just come out of thin air. USAID has been in the forefront of working in knowledge management and organizational learning for a long time. And today I'll talk to you about how we, as a company of Bixal, work with them and a little bit about my experience. So the flow of my presentation will be that I'll talk a little bit about myself just so you have some grounding, who I am and why I'm talking about KMOL and a globally decentralized agency. And I'll walk you through who Bixal is, what we do, and where we do it. And that'll lead us to talking about Bixal's partnership with the agency and how we support KMOL globally. Let me start by giving you a little bit of background about myself. I started my career in international development as a Peace Corps volunteer. I'm curious, do we have any former returned Peace Corps? Oh, excellent. Where were you? Honduras. Awesome. I was in Latvia, very different set of circumstances, but a wonderful time. Got to understand how development worked a little bit with USAID, and came back to Washington and wanted to work with the agency through an implementing partner. When I say implementing partners, that really consists of grantees or contractors who work with the agency to implement the agency's work. So I was trying to find my niche after Peace Corps, and I was involved in training, or what we call capacity building in our sector, and frankly, kind of stumbled into knowledge management, although I hear that's pretty common, right? I was lucky enough to work for one of the first knowledge management projects that came out from USAID. It was through what was called then the Office of Microenterprise Development. We built a KM portal that connected thousands of people working with USAID, working to improve the lives of the poor and marginalized around the world, specifically working in what was then microenterprise and microfinance. They were able to connect online to share successes and failures, to share best practices in ways that they had never been able to do before. And this started around 2005, 2006. I became the chief of party of a project, or project director. Chief of party is a particular USAID term, of a project called Knowledge-Driven Microenterprise Development. And as this project came to a close, I went to work directly for USAID and the Bureau for Policy, what was then Policy Planning and Learning, and the Office of Learning, Evaluation, and Research, where I worked on CLA, and I'll get more into CLA in a minute, collaborating, learning, and adapting, and capacity building. I later went to work for the World Bank as a senior operations officer, where I did something very similar around financial inclusion, creating a digital learning marketplace for sub-Saharan Africa. And I came back into the USAID world about 2 years ago, and I went to work for the company where I work now, called Bixal. And right now I'm the acting VP for our international practice, but my day job is Senior Director for KM and Collaborating, Learning, and Adapting. But I came to work for Bixal because I believe in this company, and we have a really unique set of skills and experiences and an amazing corporate culture. Bixal is a diverse group of strategists, designers, engineers, and thinkers. And we lead human-centered digital transformation and global solutions that drive equity, sustainability, and social good. We leverage technology, communications, data, and human-centered design to help governments and organizations be more efficient, effective, and impactful. So we're mission-driven. We believe in the transformative power of digital technology, and we believe deeply in partnerships and collaboration. We work across the federal government space. USAID is a client I'm talking about today. That's my main client, but I also work with MCC. Bixal across the company works with FEMA and GSA and Health and Human Services, Center for Medicaid and Medicare Studies, USDA. Did I say GSA? GSA, if I didn't say that. And with other organizations like that have a similar purpose, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So our roots come out of the Inter-American Development Bank, and we've built a number of interesting practices around knowledge management, organizational learning and development, monitoring, evaluation, and learning, which we often refer to as MEL in the development space, data science and analytics, strategic communications, agile web development, and UX and UI design. And we work across the globe. So we've grown from a small business, as I said, with roots in the Inter-American Development Bank, to having a presence across the US, the Caribbean, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. And we currently support USAID in 14 different countries. So as I said, as the Senior Director for KM and OL, USAID is my main client. Most of my portfolio consists of USAID projects, some MCC projects too, but I'm just curious, I'm gonna throw this out there. Well, let me ask a question first. How many of you are familiar with USAID? We're pretty good familiar. Oh, good, there's a lot. All right, then here's a question. What year was USAID founded? You can just guess, there's no wrong, I mean, there are wrong answers, sorry. What? Very close? Very good, 1961. Before USAID was founded, President Truman, building on the success of the Marshall Plan, proposed an international development assistance program in 1949, but it wasn't until 1961 that President Kennedy signed the Foreign Assistance Act into law, and that created USAID by an executive order. But once USAID got to work, I mean, the work continued and has grown and grown, and the agency has evolved over the years and has changed and has not been without controversy, or it can often be a political target, which I'm not going to go into now. But it certainly has changed, and I'm just going to kind of pick up where USAID is today and how it works. So USAID is the primary USG implementing agency for foreign assistance. According to USAID, their work advances U.S. national security and economic prosperity, demonstrates American generosity, and promotes a path to self-reliance and resilience. The agency provides assistance over how many countries do we think? What was it? How many countries? Just take a guess. 100 is exactly the right answer. I think the presence, is it on the slide? Ah, man. Now you know they're paying attention. I know, right? They are. You're absolutely right. We have a presence, I don't think we said, but you see there's presence and non-presence countries. I think it's 80 where there's actually a mission. And missions are country offices, and they're generally attached to embassies. Across the street is the Reagan Building. That's the headquarters for USAID, where you find the technical, regional, and operational support for those country missions that provide guidance, support, and assistance. It's a very decentralized agency, so most of the work that happens in the countries where we work. At the mission level, the work follows what USAID calls its program cycle. This is the program cycle, that can be found in the Automated Directive Services, ADS 201. That's internal USAID guidance, but if you want to read it, it's publicly available. It is the guidance and the model for planning, delivering, assessing, and adapting development programs in any given region or country. The idea is to make them more effective and sustainable at achieving the impact. See the outer circle, the blue represents development policy, resources, budget, and data, and then you move into the next circle at the mission level. So this is what's happening on the ground, where you see strategic planning, project design, and monitoring and evaluation. And the next level inside of that is collaborating, learning, and adapting. And this is our sort of organizational learning framework for the agency. And we find, of course, results at the center of everything we do. So the program cycle, including the CLA framework, works across all sectors where USAID works, from democracy and governance to economic growth, from peace and security to health, agriculture, education, and other sectors. This is a CLA framework that was at the middle. The framework has been around since about 2012, but it wasn't mandated in terms of programming until I think the maybe 2015, 2016. There are two sides to the framework. So on your left is the red side, and the red side focuses on those collaborating, learning, and adapting pieces in the program cycle I mentioned. But I want to draw your attention to what's on the right side in the blue. On the blue, we have what we call enabling conditions. So these are the things that we want to put in place for the collaborating, learning, and adapting to happen. And these include culture, processes, and resources that support how the agency thinks about and implements knowledge management and organizational learning. So let's take a look at how the agency defines knowledge management and organizational learning. We all know there are a number of definitions. We can ask all of you and probably get a different definition, certainly of KM, probably of organizational learning. But USAID defines KM as the generating, curating, organizing, sharing, and using of knowledge to create value or support decision-making in context. It defines organizational learning as a process by which an organization improves itself over time by gaining experience and using it to create knowledge that can be transferred within the organization, applied again, and improved. So what does Bixal do with all of this? So Bixal brings its unique set of experience, skills to the agency across all the work it does in the program cycle. And our team of UX and UI designers, web developers, content managers, knowledge management and organizational learning experts, and SMEs have built knowledge and learning portals from the ground up. We've inherited others that we've redeveloped and revised, and we facilitate global knowledge sharing and communities of practice across agriculture, food security, education, gender, democracy and governance, private sector engagement, and other sectors. Yes?
Is the picture teacher person's picture?
No, it's a picture I took in a fish market in Tanzania. But I like that. Oh, I should have said yes. Yes, absolutely. So I submitted these slides to our communications marketing engagement people. They approved it and they fixed all my fonts, and then I created this slide. Please don't tell them, because I realize it's a bit of a mess, but I had to get it all on this slide. So we're currently doing this work in a number of projects, including our Knowledge Data Learning and Training Project, or KDLT. This is a 5-year activity with the Bureau for, they just changed their name, it's called REFS, Resilience, Environment, and Food Security. And they used to be called RFS, Resilience and Food Security. But our experts work in knowledge management, organizational learning, digital communication, human-centered design, data visualization, and adult learning and training. And the goal of KDLT is to support this bureau in becoming a premier learning organization that successfully captures, analyzing, and shares good practice and data, and then uses the knowledge to learn and adapt. Under this contract, we manage 2 knowledge and learning portals, AgriLinks and Resilience Links. We also support a project called Develop, and the Develop project is meant to strengthen the capacity of the Center for Education at USAID to lead the education sector inclusively and equitably for maximum impact. So Bixal works to strengthen the strategy and systems needed to align KM and knowledge generation with the use and support of the center's strategic direction, and to help them disseminate knowledge to build a capacity of their own staff throughout the world. And we have a related comms work stream under that project that really works to tell the story, to help the Center for Education become an influential thought leader in the education sector. Through this project, we manage a site called EduLinks, and this particular project has what's called buy-ins, which just means another office can access the services. And the Office of Democracy, Rights, and Governance did, and we built the Democracy, Rights, and Governance site. And coming soon, we have a site on gender. We also have a contract called the Program Cycle Mechanism, and on this particular piece of work, we work to improve tools and resources for training, KM, and learning throughout the agency on the program cycle itself. We support USAID's ability to capture, analyze, and visualize data on the particular platforms. And on this site, we have two knowledge management and learning portals. One is external, called Learning Lab, so you can check that out. Lots of great stuff around CLA and organizational development. And ProgramNet, which is a similar site, but internal to the agency. And finally, I want to highlight our Severe project. This is a joint project with NASA and USAID. It's a partnership that supports locally led efforts to strengthen climate resilience, food and water security, forest and carbon management, and air quality. And our team supports these Severe regional hubs throughout the world in managing and sharing their knowledge. These hubs are located everywhere. There's a Severe Amazonia, Severe Central America, Severe Hindu Kush Himalaya, Severe Southeast Asia, and Severe West Africa. And in addition to this global work, we work regionally and nationally, also supporting USAID in their country missions around strategic planning, collaborating, learning and adapting, and monitoring, evaluation, and learning. We do this through our work with missions in Southeast Asia, in Bangkok, Jakarta, and Manila, in South Asia and Nepal, in North Africa, and in the Caribbean, including Barbados and 11 Caribbean nations. We support them with, as I said, strategic planning, KM, CLA, and MEL. And just finally, in thinking about this work and how USAID does it, Bixal is certainly not the only partner. We partner with implementing partners doing all sorts of other work. A myriad of other contractors and grantees, government officials, and other country-level stakeholders. And there's a lot of evidence to show that this work encourages engagement with local stakeholders, which generates increased buy-in and ownership, and ultimately improves development outcomes. So there's agreement that fostering local ownership by local stakeholders is key to sustainability of development results, but making this happen is still a challenge. It's still a nut that we haven't quite cracked. The agency's move towards more localization is being taken seriously by implementing partners and the implementing partner community. And I'm personally convinced that the work the agency does in KM and OL and CLA will support this more locally centered work. Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Gloria Burke. I'm the Director of Global Knowledge Management at Slalom. I have been in this knowledge management realm, and it's been my passion for the past 28 years. My areas of expertise include business transformation strategy, knowledge centers of excellence, and designing and implementing critical knowledge transfer programs specifically for large professional services companies such as Booz Allen Hamilton, Unisys, Deloitte, Risk Advisory Practice, and most recently Charles Schwab before joining Slalom. And I have to recognize two of my mentors from Deloitte, my former boss, Adrian Yusta, and my mentor, Stan Garfield, because they're sitting right in the fan club row. So I'm also a published author, and speaker on a variety of KM and emergent workforce topics. I've been a keynote panelist and a session track facilitator here at KM World for more than a decade, so I'm a fixture to this building. This morning, if you're not familiar with Slalom, I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot. Slalom is a global business and technology consulting company that started in 2001, and it's grown exponentially to more than 3,000 professionals in 8 countries and 48 markets. And we have alliance partnerships with over 400 technology providers, including our platinum alliances with AWS, Google, Microsoft, and Salesforce. So this morning, I'd like to share Slalom's journey in creating its first Global Knowledge Center of Excellence and how we transformed our culture of knowledge sharing and learning. So what we'll cover this afternoon, Slalom's journey in building our centralized Global Knowledge Center as a single source of truth across all of our markets and teams. We'll discuss how we integrated role-based learning into the Global Knowledge Center, how we streamlined identification and access to subject matter experts at the time of need, and also how we're embracing AI to serve up knowledge wherever professionals are working to speed proficiency. So when I joined Slalom 18 months ago, Slalom did not have a centralized KM program or a platform. Each global team and markets around the globe had their own way of managing their knowledge and their own repositories. Everything was siloed, and it wasn't easy for our practitioners to even access our best work or tap the wisdom of our experts because they didn't know who to reach out to. So we spent time formatting what would be our mission and goal. And the mission was to build this world-class knowledge center of excellence to harness that collective knowledge of the professionals around the globe and to change the behaviors of how we collect, manage, and share our knowledge and expertise and how we can use it to increase learning and speed to proficiency. So some of the key goals, there's 7 here, there's many more, but these were the key goals. We wanted to provide our customers with higher quality, more consistent outcomes, solutions, and deliverables. We wanted to improve responsiveness to our customers and enable more thoughtful conversations by bringing in subject matter experts into conversations. We wanted to provide quicker ramp-up time to delivery engagements by leveraging proven methodologies and frameworks and not repeating the process over and over again. We wanted to automate content capture and creation to build a much stronger, impactful knowledge base. And also to support faster and more effective market launches. I mentioned we're growing exponentially. In May, I flew over to Dublin to open the Dublin office. If you're a brand new market at a brand new office and you're not sharing best practice content from around the globe, what materials do you have to start with to engage with clients? So it's critical to the company to move to a centralized model so that as we break into new markets and develop new client relationships, we have an arsenal of our best work to share with those clients in that market. We also wanted to improve operational efficiency, providing cost savings by removing all of these standalone repositories around the globe, reducing IT support costs, and again, moving to the culture of knowledge sharing the Slalom way, which is in a centralized capacity. And finally, the one that matters most for this conversation today is we wanted to increase learning and understanding of the company's capabilities, the client outcomes that we have, and featured themes that we go to market with. So we've implemented Slalom topic cards, which enable us to push knowledge to end users without the need for them to even search or swivel to find it in another platform. So every presentation has an eye chart, and this is mine. Okay. This is the big picture view of the Global Knowledge Center, and I have to admit, and you will too, it's pretty comprehensive. It will take us, in fact, the next 24 months to complete everything on this slide. To date, we've launched all of the hubs that are shown in the turquoise color. Purple are in development right now, and blue are slated for development beginning probably the end of this year or first Q in January. As you can see, we focused our initial build out on everything sales related. So you'll see that that was the focus, the priority for the business was to get the sales house in order first before anything else. Some of the components of sales include the Excellence Hub, which includes everything a sales professional would need to know to succeed in their role. In addition, it has some underlying components of our customer success stories, which are basically qualifications of where we've done business for our clients and done it exceptionally well. Featured themes is what were we taking to market. A big one right now is AI. So that is a featured theme. And we wanted to put it in a common place where people can find all of the assets that relate to that go-to-market theme. We also took time to create a customer hub, customer connections hub. And what that does is provides all of our practitioners with, I want to call them plays. How do you introduce yourself to a new client? How do you enrich an existing relationship with a client? What are some of the activities that you can do? And what kind of budget do you have to do those things? It has over 150 workshops that you can connect and perform with a client. It helps guide our professionals by the hand of how to introduce new ideas and new capabilities to our clients. At the top of the chart is our governance model, and I just wanted to call that out because the success of any global knowledge center sits on how good your governance is. So when we look at our content, we've created a global taxonomy and metadata and content types so that we're all aligned on our content. Secondly, the management of it. We have governance around every piece of content has a content owner or multiple owners. This is part of a workflow that we have that every year, every piece of content gets attested to. Is it still highly valuable to the business? Does it need modification, or can it be archived or purged from the system? If you take the time to build and put all this effort into a global knowledge center, you want to make sure that you maintain the integrity of it year after year. In fact, there's nothing more than 3 years old in content in our environment. Attestation, the process every year, is built into a workflow where our system automatically pings the content owner and asks them for a review of the document, so it's not a manual process. Sanitization is a must when you're working in a consulting firm. If you propose something to client A, if you're going to propose the same solution to client B, that document better not have a client name or a logo on it. So we take pains in our workflow to make sure that everything that goes into the Knowledge Center is completely sanitized. And this is a governance rule from our InfoSec and our legal department. And the knowledge management team is responsible for upholding that. And then last, we have a badging process. When people submit content, we have a list of criteria where they could nominate their content for a badge for best in class. That's rooted to an expert that is either a subject matter expert, a capability lead that can validate that that is some of the best work that we've done and deserves the badge. So that's just a little bit about the big picture of the Knowledge Center. I'm going to be a really busy girl for the next 24 months, but enjoying the process very much. So before creating the Global Knowledge Center and the hubs in it, we developed a strategic plan for each one of the hubs. And we held focus groups, and then we began to create user experience cards, which I'm showing you a glimpse of the 2 of those on the page, to guide our path forward and to make sure that we have a walk, run, soar model to help us achieve the desired outcomes. These were so important to us that we have over 28 experiences for our professionals coming into the Knowledge Center. What is the experience for you to find an expert? What is the experience for you in the sales hub? What do you expect out of delivery? So this really helps keep everybody aligned. All the stakeholders, my team, and leadership gets a chart every month of the progress we're making on each one of these 28 experiences. Did we move from crawling? I hope so. Are we at walk? Are we at run? So they know exactly what to expect quarter after quarter. So I want to take a look with you now at the actual Sales Excellence Hub, because I wanted to focus on how we've integrated learning into that experience. It's our one-stop shop related to anything sales and pursuit, including, customer stories and connections, as I mentioned. We created a knowledge path shown on the right-hand side of the slide. This was game-changing for us. All of the little nodes that you see along that path guide someone, whether they're a novice coming into sales, it's their first sales role they've ever had, or it's their first experience being in the sales team at Slalom, or whether they're tenured and they want to deepen their skills and their capabilities in selling to our clients. So how it works is we've integrated learning and development tools directly from our main learning and development repository and linked them in for anything that related to a sales role. Then we also looked at what are the resources that a salesperson would need as they're going through this knowledge path, and what are the guidelines and other tools that they need so that they don't have to swivel and go to 4 other different sites to find all the things that they need to be successful in their career in sales in Slalom. So this has been really popular. It's used every day. We've had 100,000 hits since we launched this. We've also had 1,000 pieces of content submitted. And it's growing every day by 40 pieces of content. We have 82% of the company using the Knowledge Center now because we onboarded in waves. Because I have a small but mighty team of 3 people, so we can't, look at every piece of content that's coming in and build out all the rest of the stuff. Just so you know, I have a UX designer, one amazing developer that knows everything about M365, which is what we're built on, and a fabulous workflow and process integration specialist that followed me from Schwab. Great team, small but mighty. And hopefully we're bringing on some more people in the turn of the year, a content lead, and also a full-time communications and change management person, because hats are falling off my head and need some help. So anyway, this is so popular that we are now making the same knowledge path in our plan for the Delivery Excellence Hub, so that delivery people can have the same experience that we're hearing from our sales professionals that has helped them tremendously over the past 6 months. So what good is a global knowledge center if your search experience is poor? So we created a global taxonomy, metadata, and content type standards to fine-tune our search functionality and incorporated it into content submission workflow. So not only when you upload can you tag the content very granularly, you can now get that same filtered results granularly when you call up and search for something. We also created some really custom filters based on the needs of the business. So this was built on top of Microsoft Search. And again, my development person who is really into this created this custom capability. You'll notice on the right-hand side, when you do a search, it brings back a thumbnail of the document which you can scan through without having to open it. It also rises all of the badge content to the top of the search result. It gives you an abstract of what it's about, and then it also relates it to quickly, what industry it's from, and it really makes it easier for people to sort through the search results to find the exact document that they're looking for. So finally, the next thing we did is we decided we should embrace AI like everyone else right now. But we decided to do it in a phased approach. We leveraged Microsoft Viva Topics card capability and rebranded it as Slalom Topics to serve up definitions, top content, and resources, and learning so that we could actually speed learning and proficiency for our professionals. we strategically created cards for our service capabilities and solutions and our alliance partners and our industries as a first step. These are manually curated cards. And the reason why we did not have them, the AI suggested capability put on from the beginning, is that there needs to be stronger governance standards around the topic cards when they spin up. We did a pilot, actually the firm did before I came on board, where they just let it loose and tested it against all of Slalom 1, our intranet. And it was 90-day, and within 90 days, the AI suggested engine spun up 30,000 cards. Now, let's be real, not all of those 30,000 cards are really going to matter to the business, and are they accurate? Who's going to check them? That's a ridiculous amount. So now we're going back to do a different pilot. We're taking the AI engine, pointing it specifically at the Global Knowledge Center, which has content that is sanitized, vetted, badged, and is accurate. We know that the information there is accurate. So we want to see, based on users' activities within the Global Knowledge Center, what is that result going to be? What type of suggested cards, in addition to those that we curated, will we get? So if anybody out there is not familiar with topic cards, when a card is created and published, the topic will automatically be hyperlinked in email, throughout SharePoint, in Teams, and in chat. When a person hovers over it, it'll show a preview of the card content. If they click into it, it'll open the card in a new window, and the cards can also be customized to replace the need for creating small SharePoint sites, helping to reduce overall IT time and site support. So a couple of key takeaways as I wrap up here today. I always suggest establish an end state vision and a strategic implementation approach, including a 3-year strategic roadmap and a 1-year tactical delivery roadmap. Engage cross stakeholders early on, especially talent and learning, HR, sales, delivery, and don't forget about InfoSec. They don't like when you forget about InfoSec. So next, it's a journey. It's not a sprint. Don't try to do it all at once. Prioritize your build out and focus on business priorities and how KM can best support that mission. Conduct user forums and create user experience roadmaps to ensure that what you're building meets the user needs and delivers the most value to the business. And please don't lead with technology. Choose the technology that best supports the vision and the described business outcomes that you've created. Try to avoid complex integrations with existing aging platforms. Sometimes it's more cost effective and efficient to just start with a clean sheet of paper. Run a pilot before the full implementation and learn from it. Ask for feedback and act on it, refine. People support what they help to build, and then they have an ongoing stake in its success. So keep polling and keep surveying and keep getting feedback as you build out your knowledge center. And then finally, create a robust communications and change management plan. Sure, you can build it, they'll come, but will they stay and adopt it as part of their daily work? It's important to include employee testimonials in addition to leadership comms and missives. Nothing will drive adoption more than a peer colleague telling you that it worked for them and sharing their success story. So I want to thank you all for being here today, and I'll open the panel up for questions. Thank you.
Wonderful. Are there any questions for Thom or Gloria? While you're thinking, I just want to remind that you will receive a survey when you get home in your email regarding the conference. Please do provide us with feedback. We welcome your comments, and you will have a chance then to win a $50 Amazon gift card. So, questions? Yeah.
Do the users also rate the content?
We're currently working on the rating model. We're not sure whether we're going to use stars or radio buttons or, the format, but we will include it early in the new year.
content that could be in the learning management system or in other places.
Yes.
Correct. So what sort of things are making it inside?
And it also, the box to the right of it tells you the type of resources and gives you an explanation of what it is and where it's coming from. So there could be like a sales training 101 deck that sits in learning and development. That would go on the knowledge path. So someone just joining the company wouldn't have to go find, well, where do I go to get started as a salesperson? What is selling the Slalom way? And it continues to deepen as you go down the path of more advanced things that you would want to know if you're a more tenured salesperson or a sales leader. There's a whole section in there for sales leadership on how to manage the sales force and all the different things they can do to make their sales professionals more effective in their role.
Okay, so it could be a really wide variety of different types of resources.
Yeah, learning and training materials, resources, guides, templates, all types of things that they would normally have to go to many different places to find.
Very cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kathy, go ahead. Last question, I'm sorry.
Do you track the knowledge path, like where they are, or is it just self?
It's self-driven, but our metrics, we just built a BI dashboard with an e-tracker on top of it. So we're able to see what people are using within a page. So we could see if it's popular, I can't tell you exactly which nodes are being, but I could tell how many hits the knowledge path gets itself. Yes, it gives you, when you hover over it, it tells you what it's about, and then that description box on the right tells you all of the elements within that node. Yeah, so it's very easy to use, very intuitive, and seems to be a hit.
Excellent. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was